analyst for NBC Sports Boston, senior writer for Sports Illustrated, and at the Garden last night. Chris, thanks for joining us. Describe the mood at the end of the game in Boston after the loss to the Bucks.
Well, I think it was a lot of shock, disbelief. I mean, that extends from the stands into the locker room. I mean, this was a game that Milwaukee looked like they were ready to hand over to Boston early. I mean, they struggled with the three in the first quarter. They hadn't been doing that the last couple of games. With about 9 minutes left, they had only had 27 points. I mean, Boston was in a great position to win. And then the third quarter comes around, Giannis in some foul trouble, and once again, the Bucks bench just ran over the Celtics. Yeah. And the energy just vanished from that lineup. And, look, this, as I wrote last night, I mean, this was the return of the regular season Celtics. Like the same kind of indifferent, defensive, offensively selfish bunch that plagued them during the regular season. And, we can go down and talk about a few different things, Dan, but this is a lot of this is on Kyrie Irving. It just is. I mean, he spent all season, basically, downplaying everything that was going on, telling the media, telling everybody, don't worry. When the playoffs come around, we're going to be okay because I'm here. Yeah. Well, the last three games, Kyrie has been really bad. And this is as much on him as anybody else.
Is that the last time the Celtics fans see Kyrie Irving?
I don't know. It's too early to say that because, a lot can happen in just the next couple of weeks, not just in the postseason, but you have to see where the ping pong balls fall on May 14th. If the Knicks wind up getting the number one pick, that could affect Kyrie Irving's decision. If Boston, keeps the 3 first-round picks and has that kind of nebulous Memphis pick for the future, that's an interesting pick to some teams. That could factor into Kyrie's decision, especially when it comes to potentially playing with Anthony Davis. So I don't think that, I saw that the camera angle of Kyrie walking alone down the hallway. I don't think it's necessarily the last time we've seen him play in Boston, but if it is, it really is going out with a whimper.
Yeah, there's a lot of fascination with what's going on in the East with some of these series because I get the feeling Kawhi is not there for the long haul in Toronto no matter what happens. Philadelphia with Brett Brown, if they don't move forward, he could have his job in jeopardy. You have what's going on with the Celtics. I mean, the Bucks were the best team regular season-wise with best record. And I think this is maybe the series where people are realizing they are a great team. I don't know if they're, talent-wise, but they're a great team. And, Boston should be better than Milwaukee, in my opinion. But that's a credit to, what Milwaukee has done and what the Greek Freak has done and as we move forward. But there are a lot of storylines in the East, and not all of them are good.
No, and with Milwaukee, there was a question from a lot of people that I talked to throughout the season about whether or not they were a regular season team and if they could compete in the playoffs. And a lot of that came down to inexperience, the fact that Chris Middleton was their second best player, the fact that they played Brook Lopez like 30, 35 minutes in a game. And Lopez had a terrific regular season, but I was among the people that had concerns that, kind of the lumbering 7-footer, how is he going to be a factor? And in game one of this series, it looked like I might be right because Al Horford feasted on Lopez and he couldn't make three-point shots. But I'm watching the end of Game 4 last night, Dan, and there's Lopez making defensive plays near the rim on Kyrie Irving, knocking down mid-range jumpers, knocking down layups as he comes off those pick and rolls. He played really well in that game. He's been a big factor in what that team has done. But they're complete. I mean, they're inexperienced, but they're a complete team that is built properly around a superstar like Giannis who can just do anything. I mean, Dan, he's shooting like 37.5% from three in this series. If he does that for the next few years in the regular season, forget the MVP. Like, just engrave it now and call it the Giannis Award because that's who's going to win it for the next 4 or 5 years.
If you had to bet on one, the Celtics win their series or the Rockets win their series?
Oh, Rockets. I think the Rockets are on Golden State's level. Look, there was a lot of weirdness in those first couple of games in Oakland with the referee stuff and James Harden getting poked in the eye. But, what they've done back in Houston is a lot more of what I thought was what they were capable of. They're still, they're not in a good spot by any stretch. They got to win one game in Oakland. That's tough. But the way that James Harden's playing and You saw Austin Rivers make shots last night. I mean, this team, you talk about complete teams, like they're as good as they were last year with this group right now, and they're more confident and hungry than they've ever been before.
Yeah, I made the analogy that Milwaukee, I think, is a better team than Boston, but Boston's more talented. I think Houston is a better team than Golden State. Golden State has more talent. Do you buy into that?
Yeah, especially with Golden State being as thin as they are. I mean, the Rockets aren't a deep team either, but the guys they roll out there, they all seem to trust each other a lot. And yeah, I don't know what's going on with Steph Curry's three-point shooting, if it's the finger that's bothering him, but something's gone haywire there with him in this series. And a lot of times it's, they try to run a play, it doesn't really work, and they just give the ball to Durant and ask him to make something happen offensively. And Klay Thompson been discombobulated in this series too. I mean, James Harden has his number in this series. So, yeah, I buy into that. I buy more on the other side with Milwaukee being a team and Boston having the talent. I mean, Boston's got as much talent as anybody, at least in the Eastern Conference, maybe not the NBA. And, once again, we're looking at a team that can't put it together.
Woj yesterday on his podcast, I believe, said that Monty Williams, I believe, turned down the Lakers to take the Phoenix Suns job. Do you think that Monty Williams make the right decision?
I think he did. And I've been saying for a couple of weeks now that the Suns job was better than the Lakers job. And that sounds crazy because the Suns job has been a coaching graveyard for the better part of the last 5 years. Robert Sarver is like the James Dolan of the West, but it's a job with a lot of upside. And as wild as it sounds, there's maybe more stability with that job. I mean, Monty Williams did the right thing getting a 5-year deal. I mean, I don't think he would have taken that job without a 5-year deal because you need that security when there's all that stuff going on behind the scenes. But they have James Jones now in place as GM, and he's a really, really smart guy. And they have Jeff Bauer there to kind of be his guide in terms of learning how to run a front office on a day-to-day basis, and that was a smart move. Meanwhile, the Lakers, I don't know who's making decisions there. I mean, Rob Pelinka is in charge, but Linda Rambis is in meetings. Kurt Rambis is involved with this stuff. You've got a young team on the rise, and LeBron James needs to win right now. I mean, I understand, like, if the Suns wind up with, like, the 4th pick, it becomes less appealing with that slot. But if they wind up with 1 or 2, and 2 is just as good for them because I think John Morant would be perfect playing alongside Devin Booker. If they wind up one of those top 2 picks, they're in business, and I think Monty Williams saw that.
We've talked about Anthony Davis and this destination in the offseason, and it feels like foregone conclusion he's leaving New Orleans. But, Boston can make a better offer than the Lakers. Or the Lakers, what else can they do to ramp this up? And then I wouldn't rule out the Clippers here, Chris, because, I mean, if you're the Clippers, why wouldn't you go after Anthony Davis if you think you have a chance at Kawhi Leonard? If Klay Thompson doesn't work out at Golden State, it just feels like the Clippers are sort of there lurking, waiting to make a really, really big move.
Oh, they're definitely lurking. I don't know that Davis is a priority for them right now. What they see is a slot that a Kawhi Leonard or a Kevin Durant, or maybe both, they'll probably pursue both, will fit into a wing position scoring slot that they badly need. And if they think that this team they have, you put 1 or 2 of those players around them, and you might be the best team in the Western Conference next year. And, it's different with trades because that's going to be tricky, especially if Boston really gets into the mix, because we say this a lot, but you can't outbid Boston. If they really want somebody, they're going to go and get him because of all the draft picks and young players that they have. I don't think the Clippers want to get into that, not when they have a really strong chance of landing a Kawhi or a Kevin Durant. And look, they're going to be maybe the most impressive team in free agency when they get in the room with guys, because you're going to have Lawrence Frank, who's uber prepared, Doc Rivers, who everybody respects, and their owner is not a net negative as so many other owners are. I mean, Steve Ballmer gets in the room and starts singing and dancing and telling him how much money he's going to spend. Guys like that. Like he's kind of the perfect owner for that situation. Throw in Southern California, and they're just going to when they get into these meetings, and I've heard this from a lot of different executives as I kind of ramp up for free agency. They're going to be a force when they get into these meetings to the point where if it's borderline, they're probably going to get their guy.
Well, also, I bring out the logo, too. I have him, slip into the meeting and say, oh, by the way, here's the logo, Jerry West.
Well, it's him. And look, I know Lawrence is going to be incredibly prepared for this, and you bring Jerry into that mix. I mean, how do you beat that? I mean, like from last year, you had or a couple of years ago, you had the Hamptons Five, and you had all the Warriors going out there, and that certainly resonates with a player when you have that much star power telling you that you want them to play there. But if you're looking for structure, and if you're looking for some kind of stability, the Clippers offer it in spades. They're built to win right now in both the roster and the front office.
Good to visit with you, Chris. Safe travels during the postseason. We'll check in with you soon.
You got it, Dan.
That's Chris Mannix. He's an analyst for NBC Sports Boston and a senior basketball and boxing writer for Sports Illustrated.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.